Alright. The order, Chief Jones, would you mind moving us? Oh, it happens.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please take roll call?
Sandy Smith,
Present.
Scott Dorman,
Here.
Ryan Leahy, Jeff Robbins,
Here.
and John Smith.
All right, I'll turn to the first item. I'm sorry we got a late start. However, just we were trying hopefully to get one of our board members in via Zoom, but I think he's struggling with bandwidth. So we'll see if he manages at some point to get online with us. We'll start with the agenda. Have all of you board members had an opportunity to review the agenda tonight's meeting?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions, concerns, comments, changes? Could I please have a motion to approve the agenda as written for tonight's meeting?
I will move to approve the agenda.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carried. Welcome, public and members. If any of you has any comments or questions or concerns they would like to raise, please do so now. Nobody. But welcome, all of you. All right. Turning now to the minutes from the October 20th meeting a week ago. Have all of you had an opportunity to review the minutes from the October 2025 meeting?
Yes.
Does anyone have any edits, changes, comments regarding the minutes from the October 20th meeting? May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes as presented from the October 20th, 2025 meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 20th, 2025.
Second, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried.
Same.
Yes, sir.
Ryan is this.
He's
texted me,
Zoom
said-
user.
Yeah, he said we had a unit or meeting.
I have made him and Ben
I think you can hear me now.
in their video on and off.
Okay. That's, he's about to present. We'll just have to present. All right, to the first item of business for this evening, which are the treasurer's report. And I understand the treasurer is present. Ryan?
I can
Yes.
also talk if need be. I hope everyone's doing well.
Ben, I think, can present everything to us.
That sounds great, Ben. Go ahead.
Perfect, thank you. I mean, it's all yours if you would like to, but I'm happy to go. So you got the financials. I don't know if they're up on the screen. I can't see them on Zoom, but typically they're up on the screen. But I know they were sent out to you guys. Couple of things I wanted to point out. On the second page, which is the balance sheet, you will see that we saw an increase in cash, which is always fantastic to see. So we are seeing an increase, like I said, year over year from a cash perspective. When I get down to the income statement, which starts on page 5, we have the monthly income statement and then the detail, and then we have the year-to-date summary and the detail. I didn't want to get into a huge amount of detail on this, just kind of a quick overview. So for the month, we are still seeing a bad variance, if you will. We're under budget when it comes to our actual compared to budget on our sales tax. I actually have an email out to the town, the contact at the town. I'm hoping to speak with her this week. I do truly believe it's down to timing of when we're actually seeing the sales tax. I believe there's a lag. Well, I know there's a lag, but just want to confirm that. A, for the budget, and B, so I can report to you guys as a board next month. But again, I do have an email in to the town, hopefully going to meet with them this week. So that's where we're seeing a variance year to date and for the month from a revenue perspective. Then the good news, even though that's bad news, the good news is our expenses are also trending pretty significantly under budget. So if we turn to, if you can see it, I guess my question is, can the board see the financial report right now or not? Here you go. Let me do this because I don't know why I just didn't do this. I do this all the time. All right, you guys can see it now.
Let's make sure.
Can you see it? Yes, no, maybe so. I know the people
Ryan,
online.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can see it.
Try to say, you can't. Okay. Ben, can you speak?
Yeah. Yeah, can you hear me?
It's funny.
That's what I'm trying to
It lit
do.
up green when he said.
It lit up. Okay, where's your volume?
I think we can only hear each other, Ben.
There we go. That's what it seems like. I thought my jokes were great. I was wondering why nobody was not laughing.
But are you, I can't ask, is he on, are you on your phone? Nod or shake your head in answer to this question, okay? Are you on your cell phone on the Zoom, or could you call us and put us on the speakerphone and still see the screen? No? Yes? I'm talking to Ryan.
Are
you on your phone?
No.
No? Can you call? All right, we're gonna put you on speakerphone.
It'd be interesting if they could hear
All right,
me.
so, and Ben, we're gonna do that with you on Miranda's phone.
Hey, hippie.
Okay.
Me and Ben are just sitting here talking. We can hear each other, but you guys can't hear us.
They can hear each other, but we can't hear them.
Where did all the?
We can
Where did
hear
all
you guys
the-
just fine.
Okay.
Where did all the?
I'm just gonna put you on speakerphone.
So we're away. Never mind, it
All right.
went away.
Yeah, Ben thought you guys could hear him because I was answering.
Can you turn him up real high? Okay.
So, Ryan, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, do you want to tell us about your report and the approval of the pay bills?
I can. We've just been going through the bills, basic bills, nothing extraordinary. Miranda's getting the hang of using the bill pay system, so we've been working through that. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to report. Ben is also on here. We were able to hear each other, so we thought you guys could hear us as well. But he is ready to give his report as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
All right, Ben,
Okay. No, I just hung up with him. Is he on there now?
no, he's got a sound out.
Is it better now?
You got Ben?
I can hear them still, and I was on speakerphone with them, but I don't think they can. Hold on, he's calling back.
Okay.
It's been not coming through there.
Well,
I mean,
I can still hear Ben talking. Can you guys hear him talking?
can you hear me now or not?
Yes, you can.
You can hear me?
Are you hearing it through my iPad, through the phone?
Probably.
We can hear you on Zoom.
All right, we can hear you, so Ben, we can also hear ourselves on echo, so we're all gonna be quiet and let you talk.
Hey Ryan, I don't know if they can hear me. I can just hang up and call and just do my quick report on my phone.
Okay, do you want to? They can
I
hear
just
you,
don't.
Ben.
You can hear me, so everybody can hear me, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, marvelous. Okay, so you're looking at the screen. I don't know how much of this. I think it's my accent. Clearly, that's what the issue was. It broke Zoom. I apologize for that. Um, I don't know how much of you of my report that you caught, but what I was trying to point out is that we are up from a cash perspective. Hopefully, you can see my screen and hopefully hear me as well. But we're up from a cash perspective year over year, which is fantastic to see. I was pointing out that we are still trending below budget when it comes to our sales tax for the month and year to date. Hello?
Yeah, you can hear
Okay,
you.
good. Year to date, I've got a call into the town. I'm hopefully going to meet with their contact this week. So that I can give you more information on that sales tax. I do truly believe it's how we built it into the budget compared to the timing on when it's collected. But I am going to find out for you on that. Also need to do that from a budget perspective. But the good news is that we are also trending under budget on, if I get down to it, we are trending under budget pretty significantly on our expenses. So although we are trending under budget on our revenue, which is tied to that sales tax, we are trending under budget on our expenses, our revenue and our expenses. So really not
Great.
a huge kind of report other than that. I did speak with the chief today. Myself and John spoke about budget. So we spent probably about an hour and a half going over budget. We look forward to kind of meeting with the budget committee early to mid November to go over the budget with the committee and then come back to you as a board at the board meeting in November to go over it again. And would happily answer any questions you may have.
Can you hear me now, Ben?
I can.
Okay.
Any board members have any questions for them?
No.
Thank you, Ben. We very much appreciate you. Thanks for coming to approve the-
Thank you, guys.
So with that report. With that report, I'd like board member to receive information to approve the case.
I will move to
May I have a second, please?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, no. The motion carries. All right, the next item on our list is, well, I guess the report of the budget subcommittee. Do you have anything in particular to report that hasn't been covered?
No, I don't think it's all been covered. I think we need to wait until after we meet again.
All right. So the next item is to discuss / action regarding the permanent chief hiring process. So I think here it might be a good idea for us to consider a task force that it would include our new interim chief Jones and 2 board members. And so I'd like to turn it over to the rest of you to to nominate someone. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate us, that you think would be a good idea to serve on this subcommittee / task force to oversee the chief hiring process. First on your agenda, obviously, would be to develop a process, decide whether we need an outside consultant, and have a plan moving forward for how we're going to conduct the search and how we're going to conduct the actual interview process and the like that contemplates including members, volunteers and staff, as well as the public. So I would like to ask all of you, please, to state who you want to be on this committee, the subcommittee.
Well, I think that. We're starting off having chief and two of us on.
Correct.
Would be. There's a good place to start. And I think that we should have at least one of the volunteer officers.
Justin.
Justin. Uh, Maybe a board.
Yeah, I think that's right. And actually very good idea. I think that's a very good. So, we have on the table Chief Jones and one of the captains from the volunteer. And are you go to Costa Rica? Okay. So we're still. And Justin, I believe, is okay as well. So, we could, have we could have the subcommittee of the board, reach out to both, Rick and Justin and ask which of them has the time to do it. Does that make sense?
I'd like to, President Smith, I'd kind of like to talk to the two board members and whoever turns out to be relatively quickly and talk about the composition and certainly representation from the volunteer staff. We also need to have the staff as well, maybe even some external stakeholders. I know it's, so every time you make a committee or a task force, we've all been there, the bigger it gets, the harder to make decisions. This is a big decision. So I think a little bigger group might, even though it's harder to, it's more unwieldy, might serve us well.
So how would we identify a member of the public to serve on that task force? We could potentially ask our local journalist to publish something that was, ask people to put a letter of interest or something. To ask the people that we appoint tonight to review those and select someone to participate.
Well, we should, I think if two board members and myself would sit down and kind of come up with some options on that. I noticed I haven't done it, haven't read that draft of that strategic plan that I'm going to work on. There were some external stakeholders involved with that. Might be a place to start.
So we might handle them with the staff member participant as well as the public participant, like in the same manner as the volunteer participant, which is we'll get the two board members and you on board, and then you can work with the staff and volunteers and develop a process and try to identify external stakeholders and the public. All right, so I'm back to asking you all to nominate one of us or two of us to be on the task force.
I would nominate Scott.
Me too.
I agree.
I think he's been there.
Yeah. So we have one. Who else would you all nominate for this?
I'll do it with you.
If he sounds good to me. Does that work for you, Ryan?
That works for me.
All right, we have identified two members of the task force from the board, as being Scott Dorman and Hippie Smith. I want to call you John, but Hippie. So do we have anybody else, any other discussion about this, anything? Instead of two, so we don't have to notice every single meeting of the task force. All right, then I would like to have a motion to form a task force that will ultimately consist of a member of the public or two, a member of the volunteer firefighters, and a member of the staff, as well as interim chief Jones and two board members. The two board members would include Scott Dorman and Hippie Smith. Could I have a motion to that effect?
I have questions.
Yes.
If I heard you right, I think we're like up to like 7 people on this. So we've got 2 board members, we've got one of the volunteer captains, we have
A member of staff.
a member of staff, we've got the chief,
a member of the public.
member of the public or two.
Or two, depending on what the committee, the two board members and chief are going to meet and work out how to, who and how to appoint those people. So one or two will kind of depend on what they decide.
So if I were on that committee, I would think that that's starting to get a little.
I'm a little concerned.
But, you know, you guys are y'all are on the committee, so, you know, what do you think?
What if we made a motion to create the task force with just two board members and the chief and allow them the ability to expand that as they need it?
I think that's a good idea, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. All right, so we will nominate, well, we're going to form a task force. So the motion is going to be to form the task force with the members initially of the interim chief, Jones, as well as Scott Dorman and Hippie Smith, and they will then work to decide who the other members of the task force will be, if any. May I
I'll
have
make
that motion?
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
I'm gonna take, Jeff's second, since you're one of the nominees.
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carried. All right, the next item on the agenda is discussion and action regarding the department organizational structure and strategic planning. I spoke at length with interim chief Jones, today about this very subject, and I just wanted to report to you that he is going to take a look at the organizational chart and come back to us on November 24th with some proposals or ideas about organizational structure in the department. He also wants a chance to review the existing strategic plan, even if it had not been adopted, but it was something that was presented, written and presented, so he'd like an opportunity to review that as well and come back to discuss it with us on November 24th. So if you all find this acceptable, we're gonna table this to November 24th to enable him to do that.
Is it acceptable to assume that most of this will be done before we have any type of description for the chief or know what we're looking for?
One of the things I want the task force to do is to, that's one of their jobs, is going to be to develop the job description for the new chief,
The higher task.
the hiring task force. What did I say? Sorry.
You just said the task.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, I'm assuming that'll be done after this. The looking at the organizational structure and strategic planning.
I think strategic planning, I mean, in terms of actually implementing a strategic plan, we're really going to need to wait for a permanent chief. But I do think the
Yeah.
organizational structure needs to be looked at more quickly than that. Perhaps looked at more quickly than that, and that is what Chief Jones is going to take a look at.
Want to separate those two instead of combining them?
Well, we're going to table both of them right now, and so probably we will separate them for the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay, because I think, yeah, I think one needs to happen sooner than the other, potentially.
then I'm good with tabling it.
Okay. Everybody else okay with tabling it under the circumstances? All right, so we'll go ahead and table that. The next is to discuss or act with respect to a full policy review and revision. And by policy, I mean administrative policies, not operational guidelines that really relate more to trucks and things. So I'm talking about things that are more like member policies, personnel policies and the like, as well as our bylaws. So we've talked about this, I think, in day one, is we really do need to have a top to bottom, administrative policy review to become, a lot of them were written some time ago. Laws have changed. We need to bring them into compliance, with that. Our bylaws are old. We also need board policies. For example, we don't have a policy for the review of the chief, which is something that we need a policy around. So we need kind of a top to bottom policy review. That, I think that is again, another subcommittee to work with our CPS HR and, our attorney to do that. Yes. So,
Wouldn't we need to table that, with the restructuring, if we do a restructure and we don't have, you know.
I don't
some
think
people in
so.
Place,
we don't, the job descriptions are going to be separate from that.
right,
So the administrative policies are, member conduct, their financial policies, their, kind of clothing people have to wear.
but
It's
if our restructure adds positions not there, then policies for that job.
Well, the policies that I'm talking about aren't related to the job
Okay.
descriptions.
All right,
Okay, they would apply to everybody regardless of position, whether the position exists or not,
okay.
all right? So somebody who create a brand new position, that
Mhm.
person in that position would still be subject to all those administrative policies. All right, so I'd like to have, go through the same process to, identify who you all would think would be a good idea. We need 2 board members on the subcommittee to work with our outside HR firm, CPS HR, as well as our attorney to start doing the deep dive into the bylaws and the policy, administrative policies and board policies. So. I know, Jeff.
I know.
I knew what you were gonna do.
I nominate her, yeah.
You second.
I will second that.
All right, can I have, who else wants to do this with me?
I will volunteer.
I was gonna say.
All right, okay.
I was about to nominate you.
All right, okay, is everybody okay with those 2 members of that subcommittee? And other than me and Jeff, may I have a motion to appoint myself and Jeff Robbins to a subcommittee to work on the policy review and revision?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second, please?
We'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, no. The motion carried.
Sandy, before we leave that item, I'm assuming you would like, you'll need me and our staff to support that.
Absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
support that.
Absolutely, yes.
Administrative side.
Yes.
I've done a number of these over the years and they can be staff.
Would you like to join us? We'll call it a task force and
Yeah.
you just got
Yeah.
appointed.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're gonna need staff.
All right, you are hereby appointed to the task force. All right, we get to turn now to Chief Landcamer, who's going to talk to us about the Wildfire Resiliency Code.
Yeah, thank you, President Smith, for getting me on the agenda. I just want to give an update where we're at with that process. I did have a PowerPoint.
I got you.
There we go. There it is. All right. So I brought this to you a couple months ago, and there's been some things happen since I brought it to you, so I thought it was a good time to check in again and get some direction as we move forward. So again, this was a legislation that was signed into law by the governor, Senate Bill 23-166 to develop code board, to develop the code. Last time we met, I gave you that code, that final code. What I want to update you on, these are the things for the outline tonight. Larimer County has adopted both the ICC codes and they have amended the Wildfire Resiliency Code, and we'll go through that. Also want everybody to know that Eric Freed, the chief building official for Larimer County, has retired right after he got these all adopted. So in his email, he made a mic drop comment.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I'm done.
It is duty. One of the big things that we need to discuss is that mapping. And we need to decide on a map for this. And then the proposed direction for us to go. We've met with the town. Stacy and I have been meeting with the community development and chief building official talking about this. And they believe it's a fire code, so they would like us to adopt it first. And then they will adopt it as well, ratify it by resolution for the town trustees. They have requested another joint study session after this meeting, so that's something I want to throw out for you to consider. I can get some dates from them on what might work, but they would like to have a joint study session to kind of go through this whole code and make sure we're all on the same page. Now, again, that deadline for adoption is April 1st, 2025, and has to be in effect 90 days after it's adopted. So
Wait.
July 1st.
26.
Oh, I'm sorry, 26.
Okay.
I missed that. I would have caught it if I wouldn't have been on it. All right, so for the last hour. My apologies. Yes, 26. These are some of the amendments. We're not gonna, I will give you Laramie County's, or adopted code. They made quite a few changes to this code. So I just, highlighted and pulled out some of the things that I think were pertinent to this discussion. They added all this language about site plans, defensible space site plans that was not in the code. Again, to help it be more specific when somebody goes to build a structure. We can take a look at what they're planning for the landscaping, make sure they're using the right materials, make sure they're following the hazard ignition zone guidelines. So I think this is a good thing that they added. And again, I will send this all out that has it highlighted of what they added. I again, apologize you didn't get it sooner, but this has all been kind of a moving target. They added some definitions for the AHJ, just to make sure that the authority having jurisdiction has the strength to enforce that they need. And then they kind of got this declaration and changed the wording. This is very similar wording to what's in our community welfare protection plan. But one of the major things that we'll talk about as we go through this is they took out, go back, they took out the class 1, class 2 that you saw in the code that I presented last time. And they adopted all of it, class 1 and class 2. It's just the requirements for anybody to build a structure. So if you're considered moderate or high or extreme hazard, you would have to meet those, meet those requirements. That makes sense. So if you remember, there was a level 1 for the low hazard, level 2 for moderate and high. They just said do all of it, no matter if you're low,
Everybody's
moderate, or
high.
high. Just do it all. So this talks about the mapping, which I'd like to talk a little bit more about. And this again, chapter 5 is where they eliminated the designation class 1, class 2 requirements and just changed it into requirements. I didn't put all that in the PowerPoint because it was pretty lengthy and it would have been hard to go through. They also deleted all the appendices, which I don't think that's something I'm going to recommend. They adopted it kind of as part of the 2024 ICC codes. And I think since they adopted it as a building code, and we're going to adopt it as a fire code, I think we'll leave all those in. They gave all the authorities and the requirements for enforcement and inspections and all those things that we went through and all the appendices. So I'm going to recommend we probably keep all those. After this discussion, after we have our joint session, I think then we can kind of pin down what our code should look like and then get it in front of you for adoption. I want to make sure I'm on the same page with community development and chief building official for Estes Park. And again, a little bit more about the mapping. And this is, I think it's one of the decisions I think we need to make relatively soon. And we can talk a little bit more about that tonight. So you're on the same page. And if you're comfortable, if we feel like we can move forward with the direction, I'd like to, this is one of the big questions for us, I think. I'm a proponent of using our CWPP mapping from the 2022 update. And we can talk about that again. I have the maps in here again. And again, I know Chief,
Is
Director
this
Dorman.
the 2022?
This is a state map. So if you look at the state map, right in here is all considered no hazard. Which you can see is surrounded by high hazard and moderate hazard. Basically to describe it, the mapping that they use from the Forest Service does not consider structures as fuel. So it's really hard for them to map the denser residential areas. I've driven around, I've been around a long time, and there is enough vegetation within these neighborhoods as well as surrounded by these neighborhoods. I think we would be remiss to say we have an area that's no hazard. I think we're all hazard. And if you go to our CWPP map, and I wasn't able to get the roads intermixed in this, I apologize for that. But that same area would be the downtown area. which on our mapping, everything is moderate, higher, extreme. So with Lumber County adopting all the structure requirements, no level 1, level 2, I think we should emulate that. Because all our unincorporated Lumber County around the town of Estes is gonna be within that jurisdiction as well. So it'd be really confusing to have anything less than Lumber County has. So my recommendation is gonna be that we go consistent throughout our district. And we do basically what Lumber County has done throughout the district. We still need to talk to the town about that, and make sure they're comfortable with that. I can give you a lot of reasons why I just really believe that there is no low hazard in our community. Wildfire moves through and some of us remember the Woodland Heights fire, that wasn't a particularly dense neighborhood, that still burned 23 structures down. We have that. Could happen anywhere in our community. Other research that we've done, other things have been, are still coming and be published, the Wire report from the research they did. We're way up there in likelihood of catastrophic fire within our community. So I think everything we can do to move in that direction, for this code, I think we need to be supportive. Again, this is my opinion. I'm giving you my opinion as part of my job. One of the good conversations we last had with the community development and chief building official, and they kind of had an aha moment, so I want to pass it on to you. We were talking about how we still have a volunteer response from home model. And that adds some time. We're not a staff fire station that's within 4 or 5 minutes of every structure in our district. So systems and stuff like this is a way to buy time for the community to continue to have the volunteer response model. Does that make sense to everybody? Because the times are gonna be naturally a little bit longer, so we don't have a staffed firehouse. Having new construction that meets this code, having fire sprinklers in residential structures, all those things buys people time to get out of their homes and be safe before we get there. We're still coming as fast as we can. But these systems, and again, this is a code change that's gonna take decades really to see the results of it. But you have to start somewhere. So I think, and I don't know if we need to vote on it at this point, but if I can get a nod of support from the board to say, yes, we agreed, let's use the CWPP map. And again, this was not done by us, this is outside agencies, multi-jurisdictional input into this. You look at who signed it. Everybody in our county that has an interest in it signed this document and agreed with it in August of 2022. I think it's what we should go with. So if we get
Yeah, I think we could probably vote on this. Well, why don't we open it to discussion? How do we feel as board about adopting the map as proposed by Chief Lankins?
Well, I think it's a good map to start with, for sure. I mean, we don't know what, there's gonna be changes to this map probably in the future as some things happen and don't, but I think that, it's a good starting point to have this map. It's been, it's not like John just made up this map. There's a lot of science behind it as far as how this was developed.
And you want us to approve both the map as well as having taking out levels 1 and 2, correct?
I think that would be more appropriate when we have a final draft of the code.
So tonight is just the map that you have.
Tonight, I think if we can decide on the map and go forward with the map when we go to meet with the town, and I believe we're gonna have town support on it. I know community development director and the chief building official support it because it also takes away that this guy on one side of the street doesn't have any requirements and this guy across the street has to do everything in the code.
And can you
Which-
describe moderate then for me, so I understand exactly what that is?
If you look at the moderate is the orange,
Yes,
yellow, whatever, and then
Yes.
high is the light red, and extreme is the dark red.
right, but I mean, so what is the difference? What makes it, well, just the fact that there's a lake and it's just the populated areas of structures as opposed to a lot of trees?
It's density of vegetation, its slope, its topography, its wind, all those wildland fire factors go into that decision of its level of likelihood of carrying a wildland fire.
And the moderate areas would not be treated differently in terms of the application of the construction codes. Is that correct? If we were to take away the levels 1 and 2.
Correct. It had the code, the proposed code has 3 levels, low, moderate, and high.
Correct.
I don't believe it has extreme. Low would be different if we did it as written by the code board that developed it. Low would be a little bit less requirements, but when you look at the additional requirements of level 2, we're almost there already.
And level 3 is the most,
There is no level.
but there is no, so it's level 1 and level 2 in the proposed code. And so all of these areas in the map would be level 2. For
It'd be all-
purposes of,
Yeah, level 1 plus level 2.
all right, that was my question. All right, well, so, with that, I would, ask if any, do we have any further discussion on the issue of the map before we, put it to a vote?
I think before we put it to a vote, I'd sure like to understand the different stages a little bit better of what we're gonna enforce and why we're gonna. I see the CWPP, but I'd like to see a little bit more about what we're using to justify the changes in the map. Is it just the vegetation in yards? I think it's taking a few more weeks to look at it and then vote on it in a month will be beneficial to me, but just one vote.
Are these all significant changes to the map from,
I don't think we have.
I think this is,
The map we have was an approved map in our community wildfire protection plan, which was adopted by us and the town and Blair County and a lot of partners.
Is it this one?
This is the state map. This is out of our community wildfire protection plan. Yes.
Gotcha.
okay, so it is the plan that everybody has looked at already.
Yes.
So it's not something new.
Not something. And we have to, if we don't adopt the state map, the map we adopt needs to be more stringent than the state map.
Right.
And again, I would be okay with the state map if it didn't have that hole in the middle of it. Right. That says we don't have risk.
It says 0 risk for such a big portion of it.
Could we move that into 1?
What was that, Ryan?
Could we move where it has 0 risk up to 1?
That, I mean, that's basically what we're doing.
The
So,
no risk, if I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, the no risk is number 1 on the stages. You got 3
No.
stages?
No.
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 Yeah, see, on the state map, the yellow is the low, the red would be the moderate, and then the dark would be the high. So when there's no color, which if you were to zoom out, look at the state map, look at Loveland or Fort Collins, they're gonna have a line where it says, okay, everything west of this is in the wildland urban interface. And it's gonna fall within this code. What Larimer County has done is taken all of unincorporated Larimer County and said it's all moderate and high, so we're gonna do everything recommended in the code for all of unincorporated Larimer County.
And moderate and high will make it so that it was recommendation 1 and recommendation 2, correct?
that's correct.
Yes,
That's what I'm just trying to understand. I just didn't feel like I had a good enough grasp to vote today.
well, we could certainly revisit the issue, but you said that you preferred to have the map, if we could, adopted to.
I know it'll be a point of discussion with the town trustees as well, so
Yes,
So,
And
so we could discuss. it
I've
later.
actually read the CWPP a few times,
Same.
and I think it's very well done. It's obvious that there's a lot of, science that went into it. There's a lot of wildfire fighting experience that went into it, and for me, if that's the map they came up with, then I don't think anybody's gonna come up with anything better.
This one here,
Yes.
well, it looks absolutely right to me, but I mean, then you say it's been something that we've had for what?
it's August of 2022.
August of 22.
And best practice recommendation would be to update this again, probably in 27, about every 5 years. The one prior to 2022 is 2009, and it changed dramatically. So to avoid those kind of dramatic changes, we'll be coming back to you next year and putting in the budget for 27 to do an update.
But it seems to me that in order to bring people down, we'd we'd have to really mess with this map to bring people down a level, which it doesn't seem we want to do, given the location we're in and the type of, environment that we're in, so. I don't know, I have no problem with this map, but Ryan, do you still wanna discuss it further?
No, I feel a little bit better, but one of the questions I do have is, when we do these mitigation projects, and it takes it from, I can't see the highest level down, will it take it down one level? But then actually it wouldn't matter because it would still be the same recommendations, right?
Everybody on this map, as I understand it, is subject to the same level. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mitigation projects will just help the community at large as we do more and more. And we start piecing those together. We live in a valley and we're not recommending we cut all the trees down. We love our trees too. We just want the right number of trees in our community that we can handle a wildland fire. We can live with a wildland fire and not have it be destructive and devastating and but we're just gonna have to get out of the way kind of fire.
Sure, I get that. I was just wondering if it would like, if we do a mitigation project out by, Windcliff, would that reduce them from the highest level to the second level? I understand it would reduce their, recommendations, but it might help on insurance wise. That's why I'm asking, would it reduce any of those, and that's one of the questions I have is, like,
Yeah.
what does this do for insurance?
Well, any mitigation work, I think that any hazard ignition zone, I could let Logan give a class on it. But yes, that will help with insurance. If you look at these project areas as they define them in the community wildfire protection plan, these are not small areas. The YMCA, just because I know it's 860 acres. The YMCA property is called out in the west side of the. So you compare that to some of these other project areas, that's a lot of mitigation work and a lot of different property owners. And there's a lot of work to do, and that's what we want to keep plugging away at and start tying those together. Any mitigation is going to help reduce. And you'll hear from others and from CPA that is helping the town with the community development rewrite. $1 spent on mitigation saves $6 in recovery from after an incident. So mitigation money that is spent goes a lot further than recovery money does post-fire.
Ryan, are your concerns satisfied?
Yeah,
Jones.
I was just asking specifically about the extreme level to the next level down, and if this any mitigation has potential to lower that, because we're gonna reevaluate it next year. So, but that's all right, we can discuss that another time.
All right, so relative to this particular map and the adoption of this map, does anyone else on the board have any comments or any further issues to discuss?
President Smith. Jones would also like to make some comment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd just like to add a little context to this discussion. Just our staff has done a fantastic job, both of you. And this is a big project. I've been involved with fire crew and stuff for many years. I've been in the fire service for 50 years. And I've been a part of a lot of things. I've been through the hazmat thing and I've been through medical stuff and, I've been through a lot of these things, and this by far is the largest issue that has ever come up in my career. It's a big deal. It is a huge deal, and I think we're only at the very beginning. We in Glacier View, when I was there, we would do our CWPP at the same time as you guys were, and that's how your chief at the time and I did some work together on that. We used the same contractor, Amber Alliance. That's why I don't recognize the map. But this is a big deal. And, I tell people that when I started my career in the fire service, we see a little wisp of smoke west of town and those green pickups would come into town and they drive around, and that would be about the end of it. One of the last fires I was the incident commander on in the city of Fort Collins. I called in heavy lifting. And it's a big deal. I mean, this is by far the largest impact on our communities that I've ever seen. And a lot of stuff that we do in the fire service now deals with individuals. We have smoke detectors in homes, right? We even have smoke, residential fire sprinklers. Those are intended to allow people to get out and keep the fire in the building. What we're talking about now, though, is we're talking about fire spread from one building to another building. And that's a whole different animal. And I fully expect that as information comes in from the Marshall Fire here in Boulder County, what, 3 years ago now, 4 years ago now, and some of the fires that have happened in California, and some of that we've had right here in Colorado, you've had one, you had the fire up here, you mentioned the 26. homes.
Oh, Woodland Heights.
Yeah, because that was the same day as the last day of the High Park Fire. And you got resources that we had there here, and that's one of the reasons that you were able to be so effective is all the air resources were here. So this is a big deal, and this is not the last time you're gonna hear from us. Maybe not us, but certainly other staff into the future. It's a complex subject, has a lot of science behind it. But the consequences of not doing anything, of inaction here are immense. I would have never thought in my career that we'd be talking about losing our communities. I never would have thought. But I think that's what we're facing in the wildland urban interface environment, and I think that's why the county went with the highest level, rather than the graduating scale. So I certainly am very pleased that you're moving in this direction. The adoption of the map is the right way to go, and that's the first step. But boy, I think you're gonna expect to hear a lot more about this in the future. I think you may not be aware, but in the state of Colorado, we have an Air Force. We're the only, except for California, we're the only ones. For this reason, Larimer County has, you probably have heard of the Community Wildfire Defense Grant that you were a part of, getting. Well, I was part of the one that we got up the hill, further up in the northern part of Larimer County. We have two $10 million grants right here in Larimer County back to back. And there's gonna be large scale mitigation projects happening. And those kind of projects are probably gonna be contractor driven more than local driven. The projects that I am aware of in our mitigation projects are really pretty small scale. You know, pretty pinpointed. It'd be hard to do with those with contractors because they're not very big projects. But I expect to see a lot of things, and those other things, as we haven't talked about it tonight, but there's certainly preparation issues, public education, evacuation projects, all that stuff. I expect that jurisdictions like ours are gonna have maybe more people working in wildfire mitigation, wildfire planning than we have in other areas. You know, and it's a big deal, and I just applaud you all for stepping out in front and being part of that process, of being a leader in the whole process. And with the CWDG, it's gonna make it even more. One of the things that I've learned in the twilight of my career is, it's all about collaboration. It's all about agencies and jurisdictions. And I'm not sure that without CWDG projects that we would have gotten there, but we're gonna be there now. It's gonna be well after I'm gone. But I'm really excited about the work that you're doing. I'm really proud to be a little bit, just part of that, just a little bit.
Thank you. Any other comments about the map? Are we prepared to vote on the map?
Voting on a map that's going to raise the level is going to make a lot of people upset, and they're going to say there was no risk in our neighborhood and now we have to do all this extra stuff. But it's kind of our job to get out and educate people that that's not a fact. Just because they say there's no risk, I've seen a house fire and there's quite a bit of risk with all these houses that are right next to each other. So I just wanted to say out loud, we need to really get out there and, you know, beat the streets and explain to people, even though one map shows there's no risk, this is why it shows no risk, but there is actually a lot of risk, and we're gonna step out ahead of everybody and make it a point to make our neighborhoods safe.
I
Thank you.
100% agree with that. Thank you. Yeah, I feel that, while we're looking at a state map, it just really appears to be completely inconsistent with the reality of where we live. And we all live here, we understand what the risks are. Yes, it is going to impose some more obligations on people who probably are going to really wish we kept it blue as opposed to gold or red or deep burgundy. But at the end of the day, we live where we live, and you're 100% right, we have to educate people, and we have to do what's necessary to make sure that we're keeping people as safe as we can.
And they're putting it on our shoulders to accept this first, and then the town's going to, but
Yes,
the truth be told, the town building code, you're gonna have to do all this stuff
anyway,
yourself.
Does this last bullet point, one more comment I wanted to make is there will need to be an intergovernmental agreement with the town on who's responsible for what part of the enforcement. And we think we already have a pretty good line with them. We're pretty much gonna take everything outside the landscaping requirements. They're gonna take everything attached to the building, which makes a lot of sense. They're there anyway doing that. So I think it'll be fine. It will add some capacity for us to deal with that for new construction and major remodels, but those are other items we talked about in the budget process, and we'll continue to talk about in the budget process. Thank you for your interest.
any further discussion on the map before we vote to approve the map? Can you bring the map up so I can refer to it accurately? Okay, so may I have a motion, please, yes?
I'll make a motion to approve this.
I just wanted to discuss one. All right,
I will second that.
all right. I am entertaining right now a motion to approve the overall relative risk within Estes Valley Fire Protection District map presented by John Landcamer at this board meeting. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief Jones and Captain yet? Captain Sutherland. I'm like, wait a minute, what are you right now?
It's still in between.
Are you still interim chief about to become captain? No, we know I'm an interim.
We don't know anymore, it's
All
fine.
Get it figured out.
Yeah, okay, somebody tell me before the next board meeting, please. All right, I would like to turn it over to the two of you for the.
Okay, good. We actually talked about this. I'll give a quick intro and then turn it over to them and as well as Rick. Again, I'm happy to be here. This is an honor to be here and serve this district. I'm just, every time I retire, I'm happy. And then I get 6 months into it and go, geez, I'm gonna miss this. But this is a wonderful place. I've worked with a number of people, Scott and others in this community for a long number of years, and watched the growth of the whole wildfire issue. And we're not calling it wildland fire anymore, call it wildfire. Because it's not based on land use. Used to wildland fire, we called it wildland fire because it just happened in the wildlands. But that's not the case anymore. Couple things I just want to touch on real quickly is, and Sandy and I talked about this today, is the plan over the next month, as far as for me. I think it's really important that we come up with a relatively detailed plan for the interim period, which is between now and the time your next chief starts, and May, June, something in that form. And that's a lot of work. There's a lot of things going on. So I'm going to be talking to staff folks, and we'll be talking about volunteers, especially the officers and firefighters, spending probably a lot of time over the next month. I would like to also talk to each individual board member, lunch, breakfast, whatever it is. I'd like to hear from you of what you think some of the issues that are facing us in now and into into the future, I'd like to talk to maybe some other community stakeholders. So some of you may have some input on that. I certainly don't, I know you have a relationship with the town, and that's really important. I mean, it's just town of Estes Park and Estes Valley Fire Protection District. I mean, that's, you guys are like this. And if you're not like that, you have a lot of trouble. I can tell you. I've been down that road too. I'd like to talk to all board members in the next couple days, if we can schedule sometime in the next 2 weeks. Scott, do you have the capability to do Zoom?
I do.
Or maybe we'll just do that Zoom, because I know you're going to kind of a terrible place for the next month you said, so. So I'd like to do that. My thought there is that, for the next 2 weeks, I'll talk to people. I'll review all the documents and plans. That's why I kind of want to look at the strategic plans. Get an idea of that. And then I'll come back to you, on the 24th with kind of a plan for you to look at and say, and that's gonna kind of have 3 buckets in it. You know, a bucket of stuff that, you know, looks like it needs to be addressed in the 6 months while I'm here. And another bucket that's stuff that really probably will be handled by the next chief, but there's some stuff we can get started now. You know, that a good new chief is gonna go, oh, glad you got that done. And then maybe a bucket of issues that probably are gonna take a lot more, you know, maybe multi-year work to get through. And then have a discussion at the meeting on the 24th. Looks like we've got quite a bit of stuff on the 24th, so we might want to have a little more time. Maybe do that in a work session. You know, maybe that, because you're really not making decisions, policy decisions. And then we put that together and that becomes the interim plan for the next 6 months. So please be, ready to chat and over the next, and I want to move fairly quickly and get that. So I'll be talking to staff, all of our staff, be talking to you guys quickly. Even tonight, if we want to get something on our calendar. But that's kind of how I would like to handle this planning period, the 2 or 3 week planning period, and then we can, after Thanksgiving, we can move right in, you know, move it forward. That's kind of what I'd like to do. Other than that, I don't have anything. I know that we have some folks from other folks here, so why don't we start with you?
All right, just a few things for me. We had a great library story time at the beginning of the month. We do it every year during Fire Prevention Week. They come Thursday and Friday, tons of kids. We do a little story. We demonstrate our gear, what we look like in gear. And we kind of just communicate that even though we look kind of scary, we are very safe and we're here to help, so that kids know that, like, when they see us all done up in our gear, they don't have to be afraid, but that we are here to help them. So it's a good thing to do, especially for the younger kids, which is pretty much what we get during library story time. So that was a lot of fun. The mitigation crew came and helped us on Thursday, and so it was great to have them and Xavier dress up in all of his gear. So thank you to all for that. We also joined the MIT crew out at the fish hatchery project. They invited us to do a little work session day with them. And Xavier demonstrated how to properly cut down a tree, which was very fun and entertaining. And they're doing really great work out there. And so we really appreciate everything that they have going on. And it was a good fun time for us to kind of get out of the office and decompress a little. So we did that. And then we had a few of us that went down to the Colorado State Fire Chiefs Leadership Conference this last week. And so we had a good time down there, learning some new things, getting some new training on leadership and what is going on in the fire chiefs community and officers community. So that was a lot of fun. Learned a lot. It's always a great experience, and I really enjoyed going to that conference in there. So that's all I have.
You want to jump down and do your stuff in prevention as well?
My stuff in prevention, sure. So I am currently working on, well, there's a lot of projects happening the tail end of this year. So we have Stanley Hotel is looking at doing an expansion, as well as they are starting construction on the film center. So we've had different sessions with them to discuss needs and, you know, where are we going to put this, where are we going to put that, just to give them a really good sense of what we need, what works for us as far as like, you know, where are we gonna put the ladder truck so that we have roof access? Because as you guys all know, the Stanley Hotel is a historic building and there's not 360 access, so we've kind of been playing around with some of that stuff. So lots of meetings with them to discuss code things and elements, and they've been really great to work with, and they're very open to those conversations and like, okay, how can we give you guys what you need? And you know, it's been really great conversations. So had that going on. I have Fire Marshals Association meetings with trainings as well every month. And then I will start to study again for my plans examiner test and hopefully get that done here in the next few months. And then I will be kind of transitioning and taking over some of the plan review that Joe Jaramello is doing right now as our contracted plan reviewer. What else am I doing? Continue to do inspections. Again, most of those are new construction. We just had a huge wave of solar panels come through town because of some tax credit, something or other. So I just had like 8 solar panel reviews come through. They're all trying to get in before the end of the year. So lots of stuff happening for the end of the year. So lots of new construction inspections, final inspections. I have a few tomorrow as well. And then again, just continuing with inspections for we had our kind of our last like big event of the year with pumpkins and pilsners. So doing the tent inspections and special event inspections for those, I think are mostly wrapped up for the year. We'll see. The town likes to throw lots of new things at me, so. And then, yeah, just continue with different events in town and some new ones coming in that need approval and floor plan approvals and things like that. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wildland fire risk reduction educator, Mr. Lastly. Is up to 193 home assessments, 16 neighborhood assessments year to date. And he's presented at 10 HOA annual meetings so far this year. So making a real impact with his program and getting wild ambassadors program going. A lot of good connections there. Our mitigation crew, they talked a little bit about the fish hatchery project. They actually just finished. Yeah, Alicia just finished the last little bit of work we had. All that's left is the parks crew is gonna go in behind us. That's town-owned property. And finish up with chipping the material that they created. And again, most of that work was a co-swap grant. We utilized them to their fullest and there's a little bit left over at the end that we just finished to get the whole project done. Team Rubicon is here first weekend in October, do the mitigation work on top of Prospect. I think it was a very successful event. They had up to 35 volunteers. They had a little bit different numbers on each of the days. They were very pleased with the event. Lieutenant Shepard did a great job of making it successful. Getting them fed, getting good rooms or good sleeping arrangements, all those things that really makes a difference in their attitude. When you take care of them, food is always one of the best ways. But they're real happy. We hope to make it an annual event. We hope to see them back again with another project next year. One thing, Chief Sutherland, Captain Sutherland,
Whoever I am. I don't know.
Didn't mention as we continue to be part of the technical advisory committee, along with working with the development code rewrite with community development and chief building department. It's kind of in the public input phase right now. So there hasn't been a lot of meetings for us lately, but they're taking public input on that. So if you're interested in it, certainly go to the town website and look up the development code. I'm also working on finalized agreements. We're really just waiting for the sheriff's signature on the CWDG project up in the Thunder Mountain area. And that's for Leavenworth County Sheriff's Department Emergency Services and crew that they have committed to do 20 acres up there. So when we get that agreement signed, we'll see if they have any time left this fall, but we hope to get them working on some of the more remote portions of that project along the boundary with the Park Service. One thing I did not put in my notes, but I just reminded myself, We did get a call last week from the Park Service. They're looking to do some more prescribed fire with the front country burn, so picking up kind of where they left off last year. They decided to hold off until November, but if we can assist when they do those prescribed fire burns, we're gonna certainly have the mitigation crew out there participating with an engine, and supporting those prescribed fire. The more support they get, hopefully the more they can get burned, and we like to see that, on our boundary with them. We are hosting and, wildfire educator lastly is gonna do a HIZ 101 class for the Big Thompson Healthy Watershed Partnership meeting next month. So we'll be hosting them here on November 19th. They asked for this and we volunteered Logan and we're gonna host it up here, so we will have some visitors and I know he'll do a great job. Letting them know what we're telling our residents up here. Wildfire Ready Action Plan, which has been spearheaded kind of by the Big Thompson Healthy Watershed Partnership and CPAW, which I mentioned earlier as part of Headwaters Economics. Should be completed very soon. They've, I think, released the draft of it for some final inputs. That Wildfire Ready Action Plan will also make us more competitive when we go for these big CWDGE grants and other federal grants, knowing that we're actively looking for ways and projects to continue this work. So again, not directly, but I think we haven't had that much input in it, but it's an important thing going on in our region. I've been participating in the hazard mitigation plan update that Lumber County is leading. It's Lumber County Office of Emergency Management. That's gonna be ongoing for about the next year. As we work through that, I'll give you updates. I don't see any major changes, I don't think, but that's a whole process that they have to do, I think every 3 or 4 years to update that mitigation plan. Something I've participated in before when I worked for the town of Estes. Different perspective, but still a perspective. Also, we have an initial meeting coming up for the Woody Biomass Strategy Committee that you've heard me talk a lot about. So we're finally going to start talking about some implementation steps for that strategy that was published, again, through Lumber County Grant. Again, that report came out and said that we really benefit from some alternatives in our community to handle the material that's produced from mitigation projects.
So this is a slash yard.
Is slash yard is one of the options. There's a lot of options that will be discussed. But we'll keep talking about that and see what we can leverage to make it easier for our community to do mitigation projects.
John, they still use the air curtain burner up here?
We do not, we have access to a mobile one that Loveland Fire is housing that actually, I think the Big Thompson Healthy Watershed Partnership bought that. It's a mobile one and it's pretty challenging. One of the options for the woody biomass disposal may be a slash yard improvement, which could include an air curtain burner to get rid of the slash. It's really expensive if you think all the tree limbs to take that to landfill.
I can comment on that a little bit. We just used the Division of Fire Prevention and Control industrial size per burn in Glacier for the last 2 years to burn large, and I think they're already talking about doing some work at the University of Denver campus up where I live, and also maybe up in Red Feather area. So that's out there. So
Yes, it's out there.
they've been doing it kind of as a demonstration project now. But that's a big deal, and I believe there's money in CWDG for biomass.
Yeah, it's one of the pieces to the puzzle to make it all work. And then Stacy already mentioned it, but there were a few of us that attended the annual leadership challenge at the State Fire Chiefs. So Logan Lastly was down there with us, Stacy was down there, Megan Platts. Sorry, I did your also joined us. So it was a good conference and a lot of good learning. Always is, and good networking, good to see what else is going on around the state. And Chief was there as well.
Yeah, I've got,
And Ron,
Ron was there. I've got the,
sorry, I was thinking prevention.
so here's the program coming. I'm gonna pass it down here. Sometimes we spend money on sending people to conferences and it's like, oh yeah, they go to conference and hang out and stuff like that, but leaf through this. I think you'll see the quality of the educational offerings that our folks, and we did spend on, John and Stacy and I spent a lot of time talking, chatting and kind of gearing up for this. But I'll pass that down there if anybody's interested in that. Going along also with the mitigation, the county is doing an insurance open house on Thursday night. I think it is. I'm gonna go down to that. It's at the County Emergency Operations Center, so if any of you would like to go, probably leave here about 4:30, and it's usually an hour and a half, and I know that the main speaker will be the state insurance commissioner, as well as some other folks. Insurance is a big deal. And it's, I know I pay over $8,000 a year for my house in Fishkill. And it goes up every year. And some people can't even get involved and are getting canceled. I'm sure you have the same experience here, especially out in the rural area, you know. In the road. So if anybody's interested in going Thursday night, I think it's 5:30 to 7:30. And I'll go down about 4:30 or so. So if any of you would like to go, I'd be certainly happy to take you down there. If you haven't been to the County Emergency Operations Center, get a quick look at that. So if anybody's interested, just give me a call. So
Operations and training.
He's got one more, or for
Sorry.
the.
For stations and apparatus, just real quick, the ground aerial apparatus testing happened this last month. Everything passed fine except our 35-foot Q section ladder, which I ordered a new one. I may have a line on a new one that I can get faster. They were 16 months out. Anyway, another advantage of going to the State's Use Conference. I may have found one that's in stock on somebody's shelf, so let me know. Ours was bent. Not sure how that happened. They wouldn't test it because it was this way and not this way. It's bent sideways. Really hard. Annual radio programming and maintenance happens tomorrow. So that's always a challenging day to get everybody's radio in and reprogram. So, and thanks to Captain Thomas for putting out some messages to get people on board. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Captain Thomas is gonna inform us about some training items.
Just piggybacking off of what Chief said there, yearly radio programming is tomorrow. Working on a plan about improving regional communication. We were a little bit late on the bus this year, so we will not be getting the PFA channels, but it is scheduled and all organized for next year. One new member still in the task book. I've been given the red light to hang out and no more new applications until at least January. Just with everything we have going on, bringing on new people is very intensive with labor for myself and for volunteers and officers and everything. So we're holding off on that. Just if you wanted to know, I have 3 others that are in waiting that are waiting till January now to at least hear back from me. This is the last week of Fire Academy. We stopped teaching about a week or 2 ago. We go through evolutions and start putting things together. We had our job performance requirement, our didactic skills testing on Saturday. It was all the non-fire JPRs and we were very successful. We actually didn't have anyone who failed that. So that's pretty awesome. This week we have live fire. On Thursday night, they'll do evolutions of fighting an on grade, above grade and below grade fire with live fire. And then they'll be tested on that on Saturday. Only thing they have left then is November 13th is the written testing here. We bring in a proctor from DFPC and they do the written testing here at the station. As far as academy stuff, that's the end of Firefighter 1 Academy. Hazmat starts November 20th and it'll go through December 20th. So that's an exciting time of year for me and no one else. But everybody knows that. So graduation is November 8th. I believe I sent all of you an invite at the YMCA Longs Peak Combination Room. That will be Firefighter 1 Class 9 and Firefighter 2 Class 6. We had a Firefighter 2 Academy this spring, so they graduate the same time as the Firefighter 1s. Halloween also this Friday. We are sending Ladder 71 and Tender 72. Tender 72 is a new addition this year. We're gonna park that at the west end by the water wheel. PD requested that. So there'll be a patrol car down there and Tender 72 just kind of blocking the downtown corridor, making sure that we're putting something big and heavy in the way. think that's all I got, unless you guys have any questions for me.
You know, I'd like to add something, Chris. You all are here. And training that Chris and his folks do is, you just think that's it. But I can tell you, your training system is by far one of the very best. And actually rivals, it's probably better than some of the paid departments around, certainly from the volunteers. I give Chris and folks that have been involved with the training so much credit for that, because that training is in fire service training is it. Other than going to calls, training is the next most important thing. And Chris and all the folks who are involved in the training do such a fantastic job. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Captain Spear's gonna report on, our operations stuff.
Just a few things, just to piggyback on training, as you all are probably aware, there's no small amount of volunteer man hours that go into the fire academy as well. And some give more and some give less, but everybody gives something to it, seems like, so. But it's a great experience. Last Thursday, did we do the live fire burn demo, whatever that was? And it was awesome, I must say, so the captain and I, Thomas and I did a stellar job inside, along with Chief Ingram from Glenhaven, and who else? Man, we had some good fire in there. We get better at every year, so if you guys wanna see something fun, come to that night next year,
Okay.
because holy smoke. And yeah, it was great, so, and gonna be working with Cap again this fun weekend here to do the live fire stuff, so. It's gonna be great. I did, print you guys out a report, just kind of where we are in terms of calls for the year, and compared it to the same time from last year. Please ignore I didn't change the name of the reports, because I'm a novice to reporting in purchasing, but I believe the dates are correct. So from the beginning of the year to date, this is kind of what we're looking at, 2024 versus 2025. You can see we're up about 86 calls. Most of those are false alarms, or what we label as good intent calls, are the vast majority of that increase. The good news is it's not like we're having a bunch of fires in addition or something. That's not the anomaly. The anomaly are service, what I would call service calls, things we're called for, but aren't necessarily a huge emergency. Those are broken down. I can get even more granular on the next one if you'd like, because each category has a whole bunch of subcategories. So you can kind of see those if you're interested in that. We'll definitely do something like that for the end of the year or something as a report for y'all. If you can't sleep at night or something, you can look through that. So,
Just look at.
but I just thought it was interesting, and that's where we're at. So, and the next time I want to have some report numbers for volunteers. I know we have some volunteers, over 300 calls this year. Admin, right?
I'm not there yet.
Not there yet?
Mark Brown is.
Lieutenant Rafalski, Mark Brown, who else, guys? It's wild, so.
Like 290.
Yes. Wow. So, it's doing a huge lift there for the fire department, for the community's, benefit, so. I think that's all I had, other than to mention that our volleyball team, performed well on Sunday night, yesterday. It's our first year with the volleyball team for the fire department. We do have some defectors that are on other teams.
Yeah.
So we're working on that.
No, we need to.
People say we may have a cultural issue. That's one of the major ones. And so, at any rate, we did not win the game last night, but we had a heck of a good time.
We did.
So, Logan, Connor, Stacy, myself, who else was there?
Hannah.
Hannah, yeah, I go, and Jesse. Great time. So anyway, still having fun, still running calls. Average call response right now for the last month, just so you know, the last month of September was 7 people per call. I don't think it's a bad number, especially when you consider in that mix is when battalion goes on with one person for that call, just to investigate a smoke report is also in that mix. So I can get some more details on that if you ever want to really dig into it, but you know, that's enough to roll 2 ratings on every call, and that's pretty darn good on average. So, that's all I got. If you have any questions.
And I think that's it for news reports.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. Great reports. Appreciate it from all of you. Thank you so much. Under unfinished business, really not unfinished, but it's just a clarification. We have negotiated, finalized the contract with interim chief Jones. It is consistent with the terms you all saw, but it was a little unclear whether I can sign it, so I would ask for a vote that you would enable me to sign the contract this afternoon with interim chief Jones.
I'd make a motion to allow Sandy, our board president, to sign the agreement with Chief Jones.
May I have a second, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Okay, the motion carried. Thank you. On new business, anybody have new business they'd like to raise? Yes,
Something came to my attention and I checked on it tonight. We have a drone. And we have, Ron is a pilot for that drone. And he volunteers his time. And it's not being used. Because the batteries are no good and have been for several months, and he has put in a request for new batteries and has not gotten it through yet, so I just want to bring that up. Maybe that's Chief Jones' department, or I don't know whose department it is, but I want to bring it up so that we can get them, because this is something we can use for safety. And we're talking about upping the scale of maps and stuff like that for safety, and I think this is a very good tool for safety in our community.
this seems to be a Chief Jones issue. Can I punt this to you? All right, Faye, maybe you could talk to us about it at the next meeting.
How about if we just solve it?
You just solved the problem. Maybe we can talk in our next meeting and I'll tell you. Okay. I also would like, so on new business, you know, when I came to this board, I didn't know anybody here, either on the board, in the fire department, or anywhere else. But the one thing I did know was that it felt to me that the board needed to have an education on open meetings laws. That does happen to be something I'm familiar with, just as part of my past life as members of other boards, a member of other boards, and also my legal practice. So something I would like to put on the Forward Horizon agenda is to go back. I'd like to make that presentation on the open meetings laws. Maybe it's a working session where we talk about what they require for a Colorado Opens Records Act, Colorado Open Meetings Law. Maybe we bring some other people, maybe from the SDA, who can also speak, address this stuff. But I'm thinking maybe after the first of the year, since we have a lot of things to attend to between now and the holidays coming up and everything else, and we're also obviously going to be conducting a search process. But I do want to get that back on our radar, because I think it's super important, and it's something that really I came here to do. Got a little diverted with other things, but I'd like to get back to my original hope and plan to help with that kind of thing. So it seems like also there was the reference to having a working session maybe with you in terms of your 6 months plan. What I'd like to propose is perhaps we start a half an hour, you think an hour or half hour? Half hour early on the November 24th meeting, where we hold a working session before the meeting actually starts on the November 24th meeting. So could all of you just take a look at your calendars and make sure you could be here on 4 on the 24th instead of 4:30? You're not looking at your calendar. You're looking
I
at.
usually show before.
Okay.
I'm gonna be on that thing.
You're gonna be on that, but you can still come half
Yeah,
hour.
absolutely.
Ryan, did you hear the request?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right, so, Miranda, would you mind just making a note of that and reminding me when I send you an agenda, which invariably will be incorrect, that I need to add that? Okay. Any other new business anyone would like to raise?
I have a suggestion about your wanting to do like a work session about open meeting laws. If you could include something about, you know, confidentiality and board confidentiality, because it's come up a number of times for me personally, like, you know, what can I talk about, what can't I talk about? You know, and it usually comes from the, you know, legal counsel. So, I mean, I'd like to be clear about
I will talk about that. There are very specific, the rules around that really are, they go to when are we required to go into an executive session? When we're talking about personnel, when we're talking about people's private lives, their personal, there's some legal advice and we need legal advice. And all of those things are things that the board needs to maintain as confidential because they by law have to be confidential. It's why people get frustrated with us because we can't answer their questions. But we can't answer their questions for very good reason because we can't divulge those kinds of things. It's just not appropriate. But it is a definite part of the whole presentation because the same reasons that force us sometimes to go into executive session those are the very things that can't be discussed and must be maintained as confidential. And so we will cover all of those.
Okay.
I'm getting the feel, listening to your discussion to maybe a January or February, even a half a day.
I think that's right.
Board development session, I've been part of those before, and very helpful. There's some folks out there that I'm thinking about the executive director of the SDA. Who's good at this, certainly you got your legal counsel to do that, but I have found those to be very helpful, especially for newer boards, and I would suggest we include our key staff. as well.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. And I think board development is broader than just Cora and Coma. I mean, I think that if we want to talk about board development, we don't need a half a day on Cora and Coma, but the Colorado Open Records Act and Colorado Open Meetings Act. But, board development, governance generally is a broader concept. And I think it is important that maybe we have just a working session that talks about all of those things. So,
I can start looking at it from staff size.
yeah, that'd be great.
Talk to SD.
All right, that would be great. I'm so excited to get back to why I came here. Okay, so, and I'm glad you all agree with me. So, any other new business anybody wants to raise? Okay, so our next regularly scheduled, board meeting is at 4 p.m. Well, I'm sorry, it's at 4:30 p.m. on Monday, November 24th, but we will have a work session immediately prior for 30 minutes. So we will have a work session beginning at 4:00 p.m. Relating to the interim chief plan. And then we will begin our formal board meeting at 4:30 p.m. on November 24th. Anything else that anyone would like to discuss before we adjourn? Then may I have a motion, please, to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.